Don't know what's going on. Don't know if this other thing's going to come back. Let's see if I can end this stream. I got go to new live stream. I see if I can find. I'm on, but I don't know how to I go to YouTube and find can I be doing two at the same time? I don't fucking know. I'm ending this one. Disable Windows Update Assistant, remove it from the registry completely. I think that's the problem. Jason, you're probably right. You are probably right. Maybe that's what I screwed up. I probably got an update thing going. Let's see. Windows Update. Here we go. Turn this off. Pause updates for 5 weeks. Everything is off. Settings. Pausing updates. System. Devices. Cameras. Here we go. Integrated camera. Yeah, it fucking hates the camera. It really hates the camera. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. I've got another one going. Okay. I'm ending. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Sumami. Should I end the other one and do it like this? I'll do this one. I'm ending this stream. Okay. End stream. Professionally lobotomize it and prevent any updates ever. How did it go? It was terrible. Yeah, StreamYard, whatever it's called. Yeah, it's asking me how it went. I'm it went fucking awful is how it went. It went awful. Okay, if I put this here. So now I'm using my son's laptop as a $1,200 iPhone holder. How are we going to get 3D if you end one? The other stream, I know, Sumami. I don't know. It came, it went. I turned it off. Sumami. Luckily, you're all internet wizards, and you figured out how to find me over here. Because I had 7 or 8 people watching me, and now I have 3, and I don't trust those numbers at all. So, anyway, welcome everybody. I don't know if I said welcome to Jason before, but Jason was giving advice. So thank you. Cheers. So, okay, well, now I'm on video, so you can see how thick my hands are. So I went glove shopping. I'm oh, this is great, right? I'm at PV Mart last night. I'm this is awesome. I'm going to shop for gloves. And so I go and I find an extra large glove, and I went to another place first because I wanted to try to find work pants, and I knew PV Mart wouldn't have them, but I went to a work pant place. So we have places. There's Mark's Work Warehouse is well known, but now Mark's is more of just our general clothing store that also sells Carhartt stuff. And in the States, in the US, you have Carhartt shops. Anyway, PV Mart is kind of Tractor Supply. Hey Tori, thank you. Welcome back. Welcome to the new and improved. Although it is a bit, it's a bit of a disimprovement to have my face up here. But you can see my Canadian hat. You can see my massive fucking hands. So, here's my hand, and here's a big Yeti coffee cup for scale. So, but I go to try on these gloves. First, I go to the first place I go to is just a place that just sells workwear. That's all they sell is work boots, hard hats, and inner and outer wear. So your work jeans, heavy duty pants, Carhartt style stuff, but they don't handle Carhartt. So they have Pioneer, Dickies, etc. And they've got the basic stuff, the high vis rain jackets, high vis I don't know, what do you call anything? High visibility, cold weather, rain weather, sun stuff. They have really light, breezy pants and things. So if you're standing out in the sun and you're just holding up a stop sign or whatever, you're not cooking yourself, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, don't worry, Majestic Beck, I won't slap you. I don't slap people unless they deserve it. And the thing is, I usually slap people with my lyrics, so Majestic Beck, if you start up some sort of evangelist cult, I will be slapping you with a song. And I can think of all sorts of things that rhyme with Beck. like Heck and Deck, and don't worry, I'll come up with some more. But just don't start an evangelist cult, and I don't have to think of anything else that rhymes with Eck. So yeah, so I go and they have like extra large gloves, and they had like one 2XL pair, and I put the 2XL pair on, and I'm like, all I can do is get my fingers in. Like the 2XL is coming up to here, and like I can't get my thumb in. And then like, and I got a guy, there's a guy I know, he's not like a good friend of mine, but I would consider him a friend. He's certainly a very friendly acquaintance who I've worked with in the diabetes space. He's massive. He's like 6'7". He probably weighs almost as much as I do. He's got it spread out over another almost a foot taller than me. And his fingers are like a half inch longer than all of my fingers. But we put our hands side by side on a table, and like my hand is twice as thick as his hand. Like it's my palms, like this stuff here. Like I don't know like how big most people's hands are, but my hands are fucking massive. All right, and there was no innuendo intended here. You can sort of see where they had to reattach to one part of my finger here. My fingernails are all fucking messed up, and my fingers are really sore. I don't know what happened to them, but like with the cold and stuff, my fingers under my fingernails have gotten really sore. So it's been hard to trim them. So I've been trying to grow them for like a week so that I can clean them out really well and like cut them and get them so that they don't hurt. Because it almost feels like some of my fingernails were like half pulled off. It was really uncomfortable last weekend, and they're finally starting to not hurt all the time. So I'm sorry my hands are gross, but I'm showing off my hands. 8 inches between extended thumb and pinky, like this. Like you want to know like distance, like this distance. I don't know. Am I supposed to like this is not like, okay, well that's like just over 6 inches. That's so I'd be a little bit, if it's like this, like that's about 9, and if this is correct, and I'm like, and here is like, is that the same spot? It's about 9 inches I've got there, but like, so to put my hand, I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to see how thick the palm. I'm using inches because I'm assuming the yeah. So I got a pencil here. So in inches, like this measurement here, when I put my hand flat on the table, I'm squishing it down a little bit. It's 2 inches thick, like this distance here is where I can put a pencil there. And that's what my deal is here for my thickness of my hand. I realize penis jokes abound now. I guess this is a bad topic to bring up because people are gonna make fun of this kind of stuff, you know. And yeah, okay. You're measuring your hands along with me. All right. So I guess my question, like measuring our hand thickness is not expected. I'm getting 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters is, yeah. So Victoria, I'm getting like close to 5, but not quite a whole 5 centimeters. It's like, it's like, I don't know how to, like, it's so hard to measure this. It's not, it's 4, okay. It's over 4.5 in centimeters. It's probably not like a very accurate thing. I should have brought my micrometer down to the basement here, but I didn't do that. But the reason I'm bringing up hand thickness is that like I go glove shopping and I can't find gloves. So I was willing to spend some money on gloves, but I only found 2 pairs that fit. One of them, they were warm gloves. Like they were the kind of gloves you might wear skiing, where like, so like, you know, when you go skiing and like you need something that's just like, it can handle cold and a little bit of like contact with the snow, but they don't need to be like fully waterproof. And they were like $13. And I'm like, this is a half good deal. But I had them, I tried them on. I actually got them on. They were 3XL gloves, and I actually got them on. And I was like, okay, this is great. And this is at PV Mart. The first store I went to, I couldn't get my hands in any of the gloves. I was like, I was joking with the guy. I know this is misogynistic to say, but I was joking with the guy helping me. I said, I guess all you have here is ladies' gloves, because I can't get any of these on. And I said, I understand you wouldn't carry anything because us big guys, we don't tend to go for the blue collar jobs. We mostly are accountants and stuff like that. But every once in a while, a guy like me, breaks the mold and starts going into construction and heavy equipment and driving and stuff. And we need some work gloves and some fucking pants and shit. Anyway, I couldn't find pants that fit me. EU size 10 gloves fit your hands like a glove, says Jason. I don't know what that is. I've only ever seen, I've seen people size gloves with numbers. And and the thing is, glove companies, they're not consistent, right? So I went and looked at another pair of gloves that were 2XL. I got them on, they fit perfect. But they were $47. And I was checking them out and I'm like, these are nice gloves. I would like to work in these. These are kind of gloves. They're called driving gloves, right? So they got a sort of a soft leather hand palm and fingertips, but then it had sort of more of a lycra back. And I was like, I'm gonna rip these to smithereens. And I don't want to spend $47 on a pair of gloves that I ripped to smithereens, and I don't have any extra money right now. But because PV Mart was going out of business, I was like, I gotta see what they're having a fire sale on. It's early days, so they still have a lot of stuff's only 10% off. Some stuff's 30%. And they got a few things that are really on sale, but it's not great. And I don't think it's great for the Canadian economy to have these stores go out of business, but it's an indication of what might be happening, especially with online sales and stuff. Because what happens for a guy like me is I go in and I want to see what the pants are like, because I want to know, are these pants, are they going to be comfortable? Do they stretch a little bit? Do they move? Can I kneel down in them? Can I back it's across Canada. No more. It was originally just going to be 30 stores in the East, which I think would have just closed up what they bought from TSC. Some of the TSCs were Country Depots too that were rebranded from back in the TSC days. But now it's countrywide, so the whole thing's going into receivership or whatever they call it. But they're basically just selling everything off. Yeah, back it does suck. And what sucks about it is that it was a strong Canadian success story in retail. But the other thing that sucks about it is they offered stuff that you couldn't get from other places. And so now people will be forced to get stuff online. And they also offered stuff in sort of a retail format that people like. And that's for me, I want to go see, what do these pants actually feel like? Am I going to be comfortable in them? Because I've ordered stuff online that's been great, but it's been by happenstance. And oftentimes the stuff I've ordered that's been the best stuff, it's been from the absolute most expensive brands, the highest quality, and they last a while, but they're great. But then the good deals on the stuff that's a little cheaper. Hey, Mohammed Haris, welcome from Pakistan. What time is it here? It's just after noon. It is 12:38 hours in Eastern time. So I'm in Canada, but in the same time zone as New York City, say. If you're not familiar with Canadian places. Filson's motto is might as well have the best. Yeah. Well, and you know what, Jason, there's a great value in buying high quality items if they're things that you use all the time. And yeah, so Majestic Back is in I don't even know where you are, Majestic Back. I know some of the eastern places. Carhartt jeans, Tori is talking about. Yes. So you're in Saskatchewan, yeah. So Saskatchewan's on the same time as Manitoba now, so Central Time. But it's just Saskatchewan time. It just everybody else moves and you don't. And you'd be on the same time. You'd be on Mountain Time when everyone else goes back to whatever it is, Standard Time. Is it standard in the summer? And that always confuses me. I should look it up and memorize it, but I'm too lazy to do it. It's daylight. Yeah, you don't do daylight savings. So I think daylight savings is the winter time, so that you get more daylight in the afternoon, and more dark in the morning or whatever. Who gives a fuck? I leave my house at 4 in the morning, and I come back at 7 or 8 in the evening. It's dark both times, and it's light when it's light. I don't give a shit. I don't know if anyone else does. If it really affects your life that much, you should probably buy one of those glowy lights to like make you feel like you have vitamin D. Sunrise 8 a.m., dark by 6. Yeah, and that's kind of typical for Canada, and Saskatchewan would be a little bit further. Saskatchewan's a little further up. I guess Victoria's in Saskatchewan too, I think. So yeah, no, these places are quite a bit further north. Yes, Central Standard Time. Central Standard Time, yes. A few pairs of Wolverine brand boots, really like those. So yeah, so I have right now in my rotation of work boots, I have some Ariat Western work boots that are made to American work boot standards. So don't tell anybody. But I wear those. They're steel. They're composite toe, composite sole, and they're safe to use. They're just the American standard's a little bit different than the Canadian standard. And they're my favorite pair of boots right now for work boots. Second favorite pair of boots is some Timberlands. I forget what they're called. I have the 8-inch Timberland work boot. I always like tall boots in heavy hauling. In construction, interior construction, 6-inch boots make sense to me. Exterior construction, 8-inch boots make sense to me. Yeah, Ariat makes really good stuff. And because my in-laws sell it, they've helped me get good deals on it a couple of times, which is really nice. But that's kind of like, that's not what everybody gets, and it's just a few people that sell this stuff can get a good deal on it, right? The Danner boots have an extremely good reputation. I think another brand that I've had in the past that I really liked is Irish Setter. My least favorite pair of work boots, they're not terrible, is a pair of they're Wolverine boots. They're tall boots. They're the ones that if Sumami's still around, Sumami saw them in my truck in a picture or a video. Instead, they look like the boots Link wears. And they've got that sort of tall look, but they have a round toe instead of like the sort of the chiseled toe of like a Western boot. And the Western style boot gives a lot of benefit over that boot in that it sits a little bit tighter along the toes, and they sit better on the foot than the round one, where I feel it's a little more sloppy walking around. So I actually feel like I feel better like the blunt nose. Yeah, I don't mean the pointed ones, right? I mean like the ones that have like the flat toe at the front. I don't like the point. I know that's super fancy. Like if you're gonna get like some snakeskin boots, do they make you taller, Majestic Back? Yeah, I guess they make me taller too, but not by. I mean, all work boots have a heel, right? So I don't think the Western style ones have a particularly tall heel. There might be a 1/4 inch more. I don't really know. I've never like put them side by side, but I don't put on the Western style ones and say, oh, look at how much taller I am than I am yesterday when I put on the Timberlands. The Timberland work boots are probably some of the greatest ones. Times asked, are Indo? Yes. Yes. People from India, Pakistan, and other countries in and around the subcontinent of India. Lots of people are in the truck driving industry and other industries here. Yes, there's. Yes, Mohammed. Canada has a lot of immigrants from that area. I think that's something some people complain about. I don't particularly have an issue with it. I think well-trained drivers from any background are great drivers. But you will hear a lot of sort of racist, anti-immigration comments from people. I'm not against a group of people. I'm against bad driving. And that can happen for people from any background. That's something people should keep in mind. People make mistakes and do shitty shit. And it's not because of the color of their skin. It's not because of the culture. Is it helping our economy in some way? Well, possibly. It possibly is hurting the economy in some ways too. So the way it's hurting is that there is rumors that drivers of Indian background are not demanding the same pay and are cutting corners to get the license. They're cutting corners to run companies. That's probably true of people who are from more traditionally thought of backgrounds. But I don't think it's been as big of an effort as has been made by some groups in Canada, which is unfortunate. And there's been some very, very well publicized instances of this where they've been giving, basically just selling the licenses for cash and then letting untrained, inexperienced drivers, but they're not even trained in the basics, right? Like everyone's going to go with no experience their first day on the job. That's the way it is. I started a new job just recently. I know how to drive the truck, but I don't have experience working for this company or their clients. I'm learning new stuff. So I think the biggest mistake we can make is thinking that getting people to do a job cheap is good. It's not. It's not. Getting people to do a job for a reasonable price that allows people to live in the economy is good. What isn't good is having people drive down the cost. And what's been complained about, and I see more complaints about this in American trucking just because there's more of them and they have a bigger voice just because there's more of them. So you hear more people say this. But there's a big problem with trucking companies, especially small upstart ones, that will do freight for too little money, not just what they pay the drivers. And what they do is they'll pay the drivers a smaller amount of money by like a couple of dollars an hour, or cents per mile. But even worse than that, they're doing it for less than the job's worth. And what ends up happening is a few loads go out for that. They have an accident, lose their insurance, lose their licenses, lose their ability to operate. And there's a lot of restrictions on operating a trucking company in North America. It differs by country, but there's a lot of regulation in trucking because it's a dangerous industry. It's a public safety issue, but it's also like a critical infrastructure. And so it's important that we remember that it's regulated for a good reason, and that having good, well-trained people in it is what gets the job done well. It makes it safe for everybody else, and so it has nothing to do with what your background is. There's nothing about being from India, say, or from Sri Lanka, or from Pakistan, or from Bangladesh, or you name it. None of those places. I know a lot of truckers in the U.S. are apparently from Somalia. I haven't seen as many in Canada, but I'm sure they're here as well. But those are countries that get a lot of flack from what I'll just call white drivers, or just, and even drivers from like other backgrounds that they've just been here longer. They've been in North America longer, so they've adopted North American norms and whatnot. And I don't know, I've never traveled to those countries. I don't know how bad it is there. I've heard people say lack of regulation, bribery, sort of this type of thing is the norm. And so what people complain about is bringing that non-norm into our economy is bad for economics. It's bad for day-to-day life for everyone. And so I don't think it's good to bring those bad practices, but bringing good, hardworking people into our country that are willing to do an important job, I'm 100% behind them. So so what I'm going to say, Mohammed, you asked about how much does an average truck driver make, and the answer is there is no real answer to that, but you can look up statistics amongst truck drivers, but different truck drivers will tell you different amounts based on what they do. And a lot of it's skewed by the fact that truck driving isn't just one job. A lot of people think of it as just long haul truck driving, where you leave on Monday morning, you go across the continent, you stay out for 3-4 weeks at a time, and you take things all over the place and bring them back, and you never get home. Yeah, cokehead drivers exist. Back, yes. So, and hello, Commander. Commander's a fellow trucker. So what I'm going to say about what people make is that the lowest amount that I've heard of people making as a full-time truck driver in Canada, in Canadian dollars, you're going to have to translate this into whatever amount of money they usually make. But the lowest I usually hear about a Canadian trucker making for a year's work is around $60,000 to $65,000 a year, and that's probably doing some of the lesser skilled work. And this is all not owning your own truck. Owning your own truck, I don't care. It's about what you put in your pocket. So somebody's paying you twice the usual rate, but you're like, more than half that money's going into like maintaining your truck and your fuel and shit, you're not making money. So let's stick with reality. The best year I've had, I made over 90 Canadian. And I've been making a little less than that. And my last year, because I was off sick for 3 months, will be a lot worse. But I would say on average, I think like the truckers that work in the industry that I've been working in, which is like more specialty work, heavy haul work, are going to be making in the 80s to the 90s for doing what they do, and that's in Canadian dollars. I have heard of truckers making over 100 grand a year. Those jobs typically are going to be really focused, dangerous goods work, maybe stuff like white glove work, which pays extra money, but has a lot of extra restrictions. So the tougher the job you do, the more hoops you jump through to get your job done in a day, the more you get paid. But yeah, so in terms of like the average, I don't know what you're going to find on like a Canadian website. That's like, this is what a truck driver makes in Canada. And that information is going to be like mixed in, like and I'm what they call an AZ or a class 1 driver. There's a lot of different jobs out there, and there are jobs you can do with like what they call a class G or a standard license. I don't know how the numbering system works other than what a class 1 is. So I can drive anything with wheels other than a school bus, and that's because I missed stop sign day in driving school. But that's it's actually because you have to clear, in order to get issued the license to drive a school bus, you have to clear other things like vulnerable sector screenings and stuff like that. It's just a bunch of hoops to jump through, and I would never drive a school bus. It pays terrible. It's split shift. It ain't worth it. The only split shifts I want to deal with are in an 18-speed transmission. $27.50 per hour in Canada. Yeah, and I think that's probably the hourly pay has got to start around there. I know people make well into the 30s to do the tougher work. Yeah, per mile. Yeah, so the per mile rates are probably in the 60 to 70 cent per mile. And it's done in miles because a lot of the trucking is done in the US. And the pay is by mile, not by kilometer. But you could obviously translate it. But I think you're going to see jobs from the high 50 cents per mile up into the 70 cents per mile range. When I look at because I was just looking for a job in the last month, so I've seen what people are offering. I was going to do a per mile, but also per drop job. I was looking at that, didn't take it. They were weird. I'm not going to get into that, but the other job I found is a lot more like what I did, which is specialty transport, and picking up equipment and doing the things that are a little bit harder to do. So that's good. Yeah, there you go, Tori. Okay, so it's about 45,000. Thanks for looking that up, Tori. Yeah, and that's probably about right, because a buck. It was, the last time I looked at it, was a little over $1.30 Canadian to buy $1 American. I'm sure it's somewhere in the same ballpark. It maybe it's fluctuating wildly right now because things are kind of up and down in the currency markets. But yeah, I think assuming that there's like a 30 to 40% difference in our dollar, somewhere it bounces around in that range anyway. So it totally makes sense. So, driving for Nestle sucked. His salary as they added BS to our route pay. Our rate went down. Yeah, I know, and that sucks, right? So like a salary can be really good. It can be really good for a driver if they, you're paid the same whether you work hard or you work not so hard. It can really suck if they really push you hard and you don't get it. I can see why people 60, 70K is a lot for you. Yeah, but Mohammed, it's a lot in India. It's not a lot here. So Indian people that move here, say, I'll use India as an example because a lot of the people I know are from India. So like truckers I've worked with directly are from India. So I'll use them as an example. So they live in the same towns as us. They have to pay the same rent or the same mortgage as us. They have to pay for the same groceries that we do. They don't get a special rate on groceries because they're from India. They don't pay less for gasoline because they're from India. They don't pay less for insurance because they're from India, and the trucks aren't cheaper because they're from India. The corners they cut are ones that affect safety. They're ones that affect driver training. They're ones that affect quality of service out on the road. Yeah, Majestic back. So it's an okay living wage there, but I live a lot closer to the GTA. It's not an okay living wage here. I pretty much need to get, in order to make a living here, I need to get a lot closer to that 90 in order to live in like a decent home. Because in cities and even in the suburbs, pretty far out suburb, like a suburb where you're gonna have an hour and a half commute, you're gonna be getting fucked. Like you're gonna spend the extra money, but like it costs $1 million Canadian to buy like a just a very average family home in a city like Toronto and in the areas directly abutting it, like places where you can use public transit to go in and out of the city. It's extremely expensive. And so even though I live like quite a distance out from Toronto, I can still get there and I can go in and out of there in a day easily. And I deliver stuff to Toronto on a regular basis. I did it my own job and I will still continue doing that where I am. But a home out here where I am is also quite expensive. It's not cheap to live here. The groceries are not cheap. The gasoline and diesel prices here. Yeah, a crap home in Etobicoke that and that's a really crap home, Beck, because like, you know, I've seen places that look like teardowns going for like 900. And Etobicoke is not a terrible place. It's got some really nice areas. And what's Mohammed saying? Sorry, I'm just gonna read what Mohammed says here. They basically live like animals, bare minimum mechanics, send money home. Poor guys are just supporting. Yeah, and you know, like, and I can see that too, right? Like, if you get like 3 or 4 guys that are just like they're living in the truck, they don't even need to rent a place, right? So they go out on the road. They're working. Well, we say working like dogs. I don't mean that. I'm not calling them animals. And I know you're not. You're not either, Mohammed. You're just saying they live. They live in like a difficult. They live in a difficult situation, and yeah, no, I can see that. And if they come here and they all do that, the thing is, and one of the sad things is like I think like India, Pakistan have some of like the worst, craziest roads. Like if you can drive a truck in those places, you should be able to drive a truck anywhere. But the skill set required to drive in snow and ice and mountain ranges in Canada is high. And the other thing I've noticed about trucking in India is they tend to run smaller, lighter trucks to get around when I've seen pictures and videos of that happening. So yeah, so Tori's putting it in perspective for like what an amount of money is. So yeah, so Tori, I need to make close to that to live the way I live and just get by. I'm not putting money in the bank. I'm not getting rich. I'm paying for all of my costs. My wife has to make a similar amount. We put that together. We pay for all of our costs, and our kids have some pretty significant activity costs. They're over and above, but if we weren't doing that, we'd just be putting that money aside for retirement. And our plan is to start changing our way of doing things in the next few years and probably downsizing our home as the kids move out. We may sell this home, downsize, and then start having more of our income will go into other things like paying for the kids' education and stuff. But we wanted to raise them here in a home that we built for them, and give them the best possible life we can. We're making sacrifices, and honestly, it was going okay until I got sick. When I got sick, it really kicked us hard in the gut, and we're recovering from it. So, you know, it's not terrible to live on for family for kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah. So Tori, I think you can see that. Majestic Beck is making 10,500 a year, barely surviving. Yeah, because is that 105? Was that supposed to be 105,000? Because 10,500, Jesus, Beck, like that's not. You need 4 times that to live in a cardboard box in Manhattan, and I mean to live on the street, not to actually have just a very small apartment. Holy fuck! I hope that's a typo. I hope that's a typo, Beck. I hope you're not actually living on 10,500, because you couldn't possibly be. Not I mean, I don't know how you would have an internet connection. Not a month. Oh, homeless. Oh, you live in a shed. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, if you're living in a shed, it does make sense. It's $900 a month. That's the shed plus internet, I guess. Yeah, that doesn't buy groceries for a family. That's for sure. What is Boost Mobile, Jason? I don't know what that is. Is that where you boost it like from your neighbors? Like you just sort of like you walk around until you find an open Wi-Fi? I have no idea what you're talking about. And so Majestic Beck is going through a much rougher time than I am. So why would I even complain? But I guess what I'll say is $50 a month per internet access. Yes, USD for a single person is great. Yeah. So Tori, I'm not a single person with no kids. I have 2 kids. We have a dog. We have the activities. The activities are insane. But I want my kids to have them. I want to give my kids this start in life, give them these great things. And I was trying to teach them how to work for what they have, and how to give back to the world too, right? So I got assistance cut this month, so things are going down how fast. Yeah, Beck, I can see why. I mean, like you're living high on the hog there at 10,500 Canadian a year. So if we take Tori's math there that she did, I'm doing the math quickly in my head. I would say that's like making 7,000 American per year. That's fucking brutal, man. Yeah, that's just awful. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad the government's cutting off, all that assistance that you're getting. The problem we have is a world where people are like, oh no, I don't want to support this person that needs help. I don't want them to have enough money to get by. I want them to have enough money to say we gave them something, right? And that was one of the things that really struck me was when I was off is like the amount of money they were paying for employment insurance while I was sick was so small compared to what I usually made working. It just didn't make sense, right? I got enough for my life savings, man, this month, but not looking good for next. See, Majestic Beck is a great example. So we got like a Canadian person living in Canada where healthcare is quote unquote free. It's not. We pay for it in our taxes. The thing is, whether you're a billionaire or you live on the street, you can walk in and get your healthcare. It's paid for by taxation, and it's not based on your wealth, at least not in theory. The fact of the matter is, wealth will give you advantages you wouldn't have otherwise. One of the main advantages is like what you get in terms of pharmacare, because there is no pharmacare. There's no, unless you're retired, in which case the government will help you pay for stuff. But if you're a working age person, you're not retired or you're not like on some sort of disability, there's no help for pharmacy stuff. You have to hope that you work at a company that gives you a pharmacare plan. So it's pretty fucking terrible to have someone like Majestic back here who's living on not a living wage, not like Majestic, I know I saw you say you'd worked at some places. I don't know if you said what you're doing right now, but you're off work. Okay, so 70,000 a year to this. So 70,000 a year would have been half decent to get by, right? Especially living in a place like that. And I don't think we've talked about that, right? Oh, thank you, Mohammed. I appreciate it. Yeah, you got to go to bed, right? Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. Get to bed there, Mohammed. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for the conversation, and thanks for bringing up things that people talk about. I hope that people will change their attitudes on all sides. I hope that people from there are drive safe, Mohammed. If you're a driver, even if you're not a driver, drive safe and stay rested. And if you're planning to come out to North America to drive, go through the training program. It's not that expensive, and it pays your bills for a long time, and it keeps you alive and keeps the rest of us alive too. And if you don't believe me, just go look at some of the channels that cover like truck accidents and stuff. I don't really cover that too much. I might one day. If you're watching in the future, I know we have a few people watching. Appreciate it. If you're watching in the future and you see this and you're like, hey, I wish Al would talk about truck accidents. Let me know, because I would cover stuff like that if people liked it. As trucking's not my main focus on the channel because it's what I do. I always end up sort of running back to it at some point, right? I am pretty good at drinking coffee though, whether I'm driving or not. So so I don't know Majestic Beck's whole situation, but they're out there, they're making a decent amount of money. Something happens, maybe similar to what like I went through, where all of a sudden like my pay went from, I mean, let's just say 90,000 a year, and all of a sudden I get sick. So for 3 months, so let's say that's from 90,000. That's a quarter of 90,000. I'm trying to do the math on what that is. A third of it would be like 30,000. So let's say like 20, it would be like 23,000 and change, 24,000, right? Yeah, there you go, Tori. Yeah, it's like, I was imagining it was around 7 grand. So yeah, so 7,400. That's not a lot of money to get by on. Yeah, back to like, I'll get into that in a second here, back, and I'll talk about some of the reasons I don't spend a lot of time working on truck accidents. So here's the thing. When you're all of a sudden you lose a whole bunch of income, but you're like expecting to make 22.5. There you go. Okay, so I was thinking it was in the 23 range. See, Tori's here doing math on the fly. I'm like fucking it up in my head, but I don't think I was too far off. Did I say 23? So just imagine whatever your life is, and just imagine that someone takes that money that you're making, let's say $22,000, and says, well, you're not driving to work anymore, and you're not actually working, and you've been paying into this system for, I don't know, 30 some odd years. So how about if we just give you $8,000 and hope it's okay? Well, it's not okay. Didn't make it. It didn't pay for groceries. It didn't pay for the mortgage. It didn't pay for insurance. It didn't pay for credit card debt that was getting racked up while we were not making it. And that sucks, right? Like, so I look at that and I'm like, okay, this sucks, but like I am able to get back at it and keep on doing it. And Majestic Beck is talking about, so I won't read this stuff aloud with the details. Feel free to go back and read the commentary. And Majestic Beck, thank you for doing that job. That is a tough job. And I tell you, my daughter is looking at working in medicine, and she's even looked at working in emergency response type medicine. My daughter is a huge fan of medical dramas and 911 type shows and all that kind of stuff, the dramatized versions. And I told her, it's not like 90% sleeping with all your colleagues and having parties. It's a lot of rough shit you got to go through. That's part of the reason I don't like dig into this stuff. I ride motorcycles. I drive a truck. I'm out on the road. I see some of the bad stuff. Like I've witnessed terrible accidents firsthand multiple times. I have pulled over to help people a few times when I've been able to. I often don't. If I'm in a big truck, I do not do that. I do that because I'm in the way. Unless I was in the middle of nowhere, in which case I would definitely pull over and help. I do have some first aid training. I do have some ability to communicate with people. I would help in that situation. But if it's a busy place in the city, I'm just getting out of the way as quick as I can, because my rig is just going to get in the way. It's going to make things worse. So my intention is, if I know there's other help there, my intention is, I'm not a first responder. I'm not better trained than anyone else. I should just move my truck out of the way and move on. And make sure that first responders can get there. So that's my take on that. When I'm on a motorcycle, I'm far more likely to pull over. And I actually pulled over to check on a guy. I was on my way to work a couple of days ago. There was one day last week, and there was a guy in a ditch because he'd run off the road. And I was worried because I couldn't tell. It was dark out still, and I couldn't tell. I think I grabbed my flashlight to go check on him. His lights were on. I had to figure that out. And hey, Dave, welcome, Dave. So what I noticed in this was that he was pretty close to a tree, and I was worried he'd hit the tree and might be hurt. So I pulled over in front of them, put my flashers on. They had their flashers on, so I knew it. I knew at the very least they probably hadn't passed out. But some vehicles will be in a crash and recognize it, and they'll like they'll sound the horn, they'll turn the lights on, they'll call 911 or whatever. Anyway, this person was fine. They had just slid off the road. When they pulled over, their tire went into the soft ditch and they fell over. It's happened to me a couple times. Once in a transport, once in a pickup truck. It sucks, but you pull over on the shoulder and there's no shoulder there sometimes in the snow. That's what happened to them. But I went and checked on them. They were okay. So I wished them well. Made sure that they had managed to contact somebody. They had, and so I was on my way. And that's the kind of thing, though, where I've helped people a couple of times, and I've been helped when I've been in trouble. So you want to sort of pass that. You want to pass that along. Yeah, no, it's illegal not to stop and provide help. I agree, Beck. But when there's already 6 people providing help, and I'm in a transport truck with like a giant excavator on it, it's much better that I get it out of the way. If I came across somebody in the middle of nowhere, I would stop and provide help. Transport truck or not, I'd be checking that out. But yeah, like in a big city center, I'm just getting out of the way. Or even just on like a big highway like the 401 or what have you, which for people that don't know is like the main east-west highway in southern Ontario. It's like it's the busiest highway in North America, in terms of like the number of vehicles that move across it every day. So one of the things I don't like to get into is like some of the gory shit that happens. And YouTube's pretty strict on like showing like actual gore, and I wouldn't. There are places where you can go see that if you're into it. I think it's a little off-putting. People that work in first response jobs, it's a very, very draining job emotionally, mentally, and stuff like that. Hey, Antarctic Fox. It's good to see you. I do struggle in not calling you the Antarctic Fox, because I always put that in there because of I think all the flat Earth people with all their Antarctica shit. I think it's got Antarctica on the brain. Anyways, good to see you. Thanks for coming by. So yeah, so I don't want to cover motorcycle accidents and truck accidents. They happen. They're very popular channels that do it. I enjoy watching them sometimes. I also like to learn from them. I like to learn where someone went wrong. There's a guy who I really like in the motorcycle thing who I watch fairly frequently, although I haven't in a while. Also a retired first responder. Dan the Fireman is their name. They do a show that's all about motorcycle safety, and they focus on the safety, and they focus on how can you help? Like, how can you learn first aid? How can you learn to help people in an accident? What should you look for? And he talks about stuff like that. He'll blur out the shitty stuff. But show you like, hey, look at how this person responded. Look how they controlled the scene. Look how they set up their vehicle to protect the person that fell off their motorcycle, or the person that was in a car that was hurt. What happened, right? He jumped out of a section of Lakeshore Drive one day, ran back about 1 kilometer to direct 6 lanes of traffic to avoid a huge multicolored pileup. The cop said it was crazy. Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe you were back. Yeah, 1 kilometer is a long way to run for that, but you know what? If you can keep people out of an area and keep it from being worse, it's good. Hey, Ollie, good to see you. Got a break from work? Yeah, Ollie's out there making sure we pay our taxes, or making sure that it gets counted right, or something. But thanks for coming by, Ollie. I'm glad somebody's counting the beans for us, making sure that the country keeps working. It's great to have we have a great Canadian presence here. And I think what will happen is like I'm gonna end the show like fairly early today. Well, earlier than yesterday. Yesterday I went on for 2.5 fucking hours, and I can't do that today for lots of good reasons. But also my phone will die, and I left the charger for it upstairs. And the reason I'm on the phone is because the computer connection died. And so I'm sorry, my camera on the phone works, and so you're stuck looking at my ugly mug. And I started off talking about like how hard it is to buy stuff that fits me, and as to how giant my hands are to go in the gloves, which is a trucking problem that I have, because trucking requires that you have gloves for lots of things that you do. And so I have like 3 or 4 pairs of gloves that I rotate, and it's fucking crazy. Homer Cleese cares not for beans. What the I should know I should know this. I should know this reference. It sounds like something I know, and I can't think what that is. Back, so Majestic Back, please. It's from The Simpsons. Okay, I'm sure I've heard it. Simpsons is something that I've watched a fair bit of, but not enough of to be like aware of all the things. I'm not your Simpsons person to go to. I have enjoyed it though. I was a regular watcher in the early days for sure. I'm a big fan of South Park. Haven't been watching it recently either, and a show I never got into, although I appreciate greatly from what I have seen of it, is the Family Guy show, which is another sort of animated show that is scathing satire. Scathing satire is something we need a whole lot more of. Um, I think we need a lot of people pointing out what's fucked in the world. Um, what's amazing to me is how many people know what's fucked in the world and don't do anything about it, and the people that don't know what's fucked in the world and think it's great. So we got American Dad. So I haven't seen too many episodes of American Dad. Is that the one where they have an alien in the house, right? Is one of their characters? I'll have to check out American Dad. Hard to satirize the shit that's going. Yeah, Anarchic Fox. Holy fuck. Is it like satire has been outdone by reality many times over at this point, for fuck's sakes. I mean, can you imagine like saying, "Oh, you know what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of like regular politicians who aren't fucking great in the first place, and we're going to replace them with oligarchical billionaires who are going to take over the whole country and hollow out every fucking department in the country for the Americans out there." Holy shit, what do you guys got going on down there? And then like he's like, I'm just gonna put tariffs on everybody, all of our friends, all the people we do the most business with. We're just gonna tariff the fuck out of them, even though I negotiated the fucking best agreement ever. I mean, he literally said he negotiated the best trade plan ever with Canada and Mexico back when he was in office before, and it was so good. Biden didn't even redo it or anything. More enslaved every day. Majestic Back. I have to agree. I have to agree, and I agree. I mean, I don't want to use the word slavery too lightly, but because I guess there's a difference between being enslaved, where like you literally can't leave at the point of a gun, and like just being beholden to a situation because you don't have any choices. There is a difference, but the difference is getting smaller and smaller. Um, and welcome, Rochelle. The circus is in town now, and it's not a funny one. Yeah, no, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's scary, and I think that we need unfortunately to rise up as people. Um, that if everybody stops participating in the bullshit en masse, and I mean like everybody just stops fucking going to work and paying their fucking bills, um, then the ruling class is gonna fucking topple pretty fucking quick. And the problem is we're all so close to the fucking edge. We don't have a lot of fucking choices. And that's sort of where I'm at. Like what I'm talking about is here. Like, am I living like some great high on the hog life? From what I've seen, I'm living a very nice life. But I'm working damn fucking hard for it. And we're talking about like the average pay for a truck driver. Well, and I was saying it's like 90,000 Canadian, which Tori was nice enough to look up and found out was in the mid six, like let's say 65 American. That's for working 65 to 70 hours a week and not doing a fucking easy job. And not that sitting at the wheel all week is fucking easy, but the job I do is not sitting at the fucking wheel. The job I do is a lot of physical work, and when I am behind the wheel, up until recently, it's been doing some of the biggest, heaviest shit out there. It ain't fucking easy. And in a lot of ways, it's not really maybe paying that much money. It doesn't seem worth it to me when I look at some of where we're at. And it's not because it's not a decent amount of money to pay a person. It's because, and this is important, It's not keeping up with the cost of fucking living. It doesn't matter what the amount is. Like the amount, I'm not worried about hitting a fucking decimal place here. I'm worried about getting by. You know? I'm worried about having enough money to make ends meet and have a little left over, because apparently they want me to retire and have enough money put away. I'm supposed to make enough money not just to live day to day now, but to also live for decades after I retire, which they expect me to do in 20 years or less. You're making about 75 US before taxes with their own truck back in 04. Sounds like it's not any better. It's not. It's not, Kalasia. It's not. Now that's with your own truck. I'm assuming that was after expenses, but I don't know. And Majestic Beck is saying that their wife at the time was making 120, and I think yeah, I mean, like, I might have missed some of what you said here. Can I roll back? Yeah. Big Daddy says in the gun toting goon shop in shirt. Yeah, after expenses. Yeah, so after expenses, I mean, and you know what, my dad made in the early 80s, my dad was a truck driver and he made over 60 grand Canadian a year. And if you adjust for inflation, there's a lot more money than what I make now. It's a different industry now. And I'm doing it because it's low stress. It's a low stress job when I'm at my job. It's something I know how to do, and I'm responsible for myself. I'm not responsible for everybody else. That's why I picked it. I picked this job because, and you know what? Yesterday afternoon, one of my old construction things came up. Somebody phoned me because my number was on something. I had to call my old partner and talk to him about it. It reminded me of just how stupid things are, because someone couldn't pick up the phone to call me and tell me what the fuck was going on, or call my partner and tell him what the fuck was going on. Somebody was about to do something really fucking stupid with no fucking plan in place. Because at the very last minute, they're like, oh, I'll call and let these people know we're on our way. They're on their way to a job site out of town that has been unmanned for over a year. How stupid is that? Nobody thought to say, hey, this thing's being sent over there. The people that sent it forgot to tell the people that they were sending it to what was going on. And you know who solved the problem? A truck driver called me because they're like, I got this. Where am I going to unload it? I'm like, I don't know, but there's nobody there to meet you. Nobody told anybody this was happening as far as I know. I'm going to find out if anybody already knows about it. And of course, nobody fucking did. So, you know, Just Beck says our highest hourly wage is $65 an hour when you were Goldsmith. Yeah, and Beck, that, you know, that's probably a pretty decent money. And you'd want to pay people decent money when they're working with like high value items, because it gives them an impetus to want to keep it. 15.3% Social Security as a independent contractor. You're filling out an application. You know what, Commander, keep on filling out applications. I got calls for the places around here that are hiring. I got, for the ones that I applied to, I got 2 thanks for applying, contact us next time, we already have someone. I got one, we've moved on to something else. I don't know if I was just too late applying, I wasn't sure. And the other thing that I got was people saying, hey, can you come in and talk to us? And that was what I most got. But yeah, and Rochelle, you're both retired. Yeah, so which is good. But then you remember the days of trucking, hands in the financial cookie jars. Yeah, you know what? I think letting someone as disconnected from reality as Trump be in charge, and let someone as fucking loony as Musk run things is not a good combo, in my opinion. Maybe it's all being painted in a terrible light by the people that just don't like Trump. I'm sure that's what's going on. I'm sure there isn't a crazy megalomaniac running the place while another crazy megalomaniac is doing crazy shit from a desk he doesn't deserve. I'm just glad he's a felon, so we don't have to let him in our country. Life is rough here at the moment. Dude has only been in office for 2 weeks. Yeah, Tory. Oh, It's as if the insane are running the asylum in Zealand. Yeah. It's disheartening to see, and I think the thing is, I know, like, the people that are going to come and watch me and hang out with me are people from the community largely, because I'm such a small channel. People aren't going to listen to what I have to say or care what I have to say. And you know what? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe people shouldn't listen to what I say. I'm just a regular blue collar working man, right? I wake up in the morning. I wake up before the sun comes up, hours before the sun comes up. I go to work. I do a hard job in harsh weather. That's it, though. I mean, lots of people do that. Hardworking people need respect. And the thing is, our world is not so devoid of resources that we all need to live in fucking squalor. We just don't. We don't need to make things worse for people. We don't need, and the people that want more power and control already have enough power and control. They don't need more of it. They need less. They need to sit the fuck down. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, and I think I mean it even more now than I ever had. If you're a rich fucking asshole, and I don't mean that you make, enough money that you've got yourself, a nice fishing boat and a fucking RV and a fucking cottage or something, right? I don't mean you. I don't mean the guy or the girl, the person that, is a doctor or something, and you have enough money for, a nice vacation every year and shit like that. That's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking about you insanely wealthy motherfuckers that never have to do fuck all. You're just playing. You're just playing. The world's economy is your fucking sandbox. You assholes, get on your fucking yacht, sail out the fucking sea, and I don't ever want to fucking hear from you again. You think you run the fucking world, but you don't. You're just born with a fucking horseshoe up your ass, and you were lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time to choke on fucking money. Sit the fuck down. There should not be a political system in the world that is a democracy that allows anybody with that kind of wealth to run fuck all. It should disqualify you from office to be a billionaire. It should absolutely disqualify you from doing anything other than having a one vote fucking opinion. And maybe you shouldn't even get the vote. Maybe we should have a thing where if your total worth is over $500 million, your vote gets taken away. And also, your ability to donate to a PAC or something in the US or whatever other types of support, maybe that should be taken away too. Maybe billionaires should just be satisfied with being billionaires and stay the fuck out of politics. Because the policies that we make for people, for the real people, the absolutely normal, regular working people that are out here, let's make policies that are good for us. Let's make sure that we have affordable living conditions, whether wages are raised and salaries are raised to meet the cost of living, or whether the cost of living is brought down, and whether we control inflation, whether we put restrictions on what companies can do to become giant monopolies. However we fucking have to do it, and however we support labor unions and organized labor in general, I don't care how we fucking do it. But the rich are so fucking rich that they think they need to fucking take over everything, and they need to fucking sit the fuck down and enjoy their fucking cash. There isn't a thing on this earth you can't afford to buy. You don't need to buy our fucking freedom to take it away from us. Okay? I live in the true north, strong and free. The Americans live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. I don't know what Mexicans talk about. Oh, yeah, go eat your pills back. And welcome, sorry, someone new came in while I was ranting. Margita Berkiova, thank you for coming, welcome. I hope I pronounced your name somewhat correctly. I speak English and French. That name strikes me as being possibly Slavic, but I'm not sure. And I'm definitely no expert in it, but welcome and thanks for coming in. The greed and the desire for power, I mean, we make fun of this all the time in Hollywood movies, of these like just absolutely insane, like James Bond villains and stuff. It's fucking comical on a movie, but it ain't fucking comical when it's real fucking life. You know, like I literally think like, you know, we need we need somebody to figure this shit out. I hope Moneypenny is right now preparing Bond to go out there and blow up some sort of a submarine rocket fucking facility that's about to blast people off to Mars or something, to build a giant fucking beam that's gonna blast Earth into a fucking million gazillion smithereens because I don't know what, like, do you want the iron out of the core of Earth or something? Is that what it is? Like, if we thought this stuff through. Anyway, it's apparent to me that there are not enough safety guardrails in place. There's not enough leashes. There's not enough tethers in place to hold politics together. If in a democracy, half the people can think they want something that they don't understand, and the other half of the people can say absolutely the fuck not, we don't want it, and they get it shoved down their throats anyway without any sort of controls at all, and everyone that is in the same party as that person is afraid to fucking say one thing against them, even though they've said it before. It's fucking scary. Really fucking scary. And you know what? Whether, in the grand scheme of things, whether I live or die, whether anybody else lives or dies, I guess, it's going to be what it's going to be. I get it. But holy fuck, we could make it better. Life doesn't have to be this fucked. It really doesn't. There's no need to stop working together to make the world a good fucking place. See you later, Ollie. Thanks for coming by. I hope things are nice out on the East Coast there. Hope to get down there sometime soon. And if I do, I'll look you up and we'll have a coffee. Yeah, it is a solidarity indeed, Victoria. What we need is the working people of the world need to be together. Whether we take it all away or we give it all to them faster and harder than they've ever fucking had it before, doesn't fucking matter. We need to choke them out because they are doing shit that doesn't fucking matter to them a fucking iota. They don't give a fuck. But we need to. This is our fucking lives. Our day-to-day fucking lives are being played with. And they're being played with around the whole fucking world. And this has happened before. My grandparents fought wars against this. Their parents fought wars against this. And a damn lot of people have fought wars against this. They're fighting it now, and they're going to have to fight it again. And we're going to have to fucking rise up to do it one more time. Maybe multiple more times, because the same fucking story seems to keep being told again and again. Hey, Jimmy, welcome. Yeah, it is a global issue, right? People think, oh, this is a war in the Middle East. This is a war in the Ukraine. This is a war in, I grew up with people talking about the problems in Iran and Iraq. People talked about the Cuban Missile Crisis. People talked about, we had like almost a civil unrest situation happen in the 1970s here. I forget the exact details of it. I have to look it up to remember it. Otherwise, I'd tell a shitty version of it. But yeah, this is something we need to do. We need to unify together, and the more we otherize everyone around us, the more we mistrust people just because they look a little different than us. That's gonna fuck shit up. Hey, Holly, welcome. We need to stop letting people fuck shit up, all right? We got to take hold of the fucking reins. Now, some people know this, some people don't. I'm speaking of Teamsters as a vocation, not as the labor union, although the labor union has a storied past. But a Teamster is a trucker. That's what I am. A Teamster was originally named for the person that controlled a team of beasts of burden that operated a wagon or cart type system for moving cargo. So moving heavy shit around. That is what a Teamster is. That's what the job is. In the same way that a cooper is a barrel maker, in the same way that a blacksmith is a worker of metals, the same way that a farrier is a shoer of horses, the same way that I don't know, you name it. The Baker Bakes and the Thatcher Thatches, all of those things. That thatching has gone out of style. And being an actual teamster, as in like looking after a team of animals to move stuff around, not such a popular job anymore in North America. It's kind of like an old school thing. And I've been to watch the people that use teams of like big draft horses to pull big wagons. They do it for show now. It's pretty fucking impressive, let me tell you. And you know what? I got a lot of respect for the people that did that back in the day, and I got a lot of respect for the people that drove trucks before I drove trucks. And I got a lot of respect for the people that drive them now. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care where the fuck you're from. You're moving the fucking world along with me. Jason, it may just fucking well, because living in fucking grass huts may be the way of the fucking future. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. Anyway, I've gone way over this sort of hour or so I thought I might put into this. I want to thank everyone for coming by. I say don't look to your neighbor as your enemy. Look at them as your friend. Yeah, Anarchic Fox. Yeah, draft horses using logging, it's pretty fucking amazing for sure. I've seen it too. And some of like the big horses, like the Shire horses, the Clydesdales, the Belgians, there are just some amazing fucking animals. And because I've married into an equine family, I've had the great pleasure of seeing many horses up close. Yeah, it was good to see you too, Jason, Jason Jacoby. I hope I'm saying that right. It's great to see everybody here. I want to thank everyone that comes by to see me and listen to the crazy shit I say. I'm sorry this stream got fucked up earlier by computer issues or whatever, but you know, it's what it is. Community keeps us all safe. Yes, it does. But our community is a whole lot bigger. Nowadays, I think our community is oligarchs and everybody else. And there's a lot more of everybody else. So let's get together and tell them what they want ain't worth fucking having if we don't have it. If they take it away from us, nobody's gonna have it. And see how they fucking run. To be clear, I'm not advocating violence. I'm advocating an organized withdrawal of services from the entire world. If everybody shuts down and they stop making money and they can't do the shit they want to do and nothing fucking happens, you know what fucking happens? They all fucking fall. They fall real fucking fast. Because owning everything in the world, if nobody gives a shit, ain't worth a fucking dime. Take away the value of everything they sit on. Take away the value of what they own on paper. Take it and burn it to the fucking ground. Because if they don't control us, they own fuck all. If what they have isn't worth anything to us, it ain't worth anything to them either. These are the things we need to think about. Why do they control us? Why do we do everything they tell us to do? Because we're afraid of losing everything we have? Do we even have it? Let's take stock of that. Let's think about getting together and telling the world the way it sits now to fuck right off. If you're not willing to let us live decent lives, fuck right off. If you want us to live in squalor, fuck right off. If you want to take away what people have worked so fucking hard for their whole fucking lives and destroy it and burn it to the fucking ground, fuck off. Give me the match. I'll fucking burn it. I'm not gonna let you take it away. Let's get this fucking attitude going. Let's get everybody together and say fuck you to the people that want to own everything and own all of us. No, I don't want to stand for it. None of us should. We should own ourselves. We shouldn't own other people. We shouldn't own them in any way, shape, or form. It's never been right. It doesn't matter how you do it. It ain't fucking right. So let's stand together, shoulder to shoulder. And let them pry it from our cold, dead hands. Because if they kill us all, they're not going to have anybody to do their fucking bidding, are they? They got to think about that. I mean, obviously, some of these people don't give a shit about human lives anyway. But we got to give a shit. We got to care about not just being alive, but having a quality of life. Having quality of life is worth something. And this life is worth something. And I don't like to go down the religious rabbit hole too often, too much. A lot of other people in the community do. They do it well. But convincing people that this life is worthless and they should give it all away so that they can have a better one the next time around, the way Scientology says, the way Christianity says, the way Islam says. I'm not sure if Judaism says that so much. I think that some of that is touched on, but I think they're a little bit less stringent on that. I'm not really sure about some other religions. I don't know enough about them to say, but a lot of them seem to be promising something in the afterlife that's better than this. That's not likely true. It might be true. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's super fucking unlikely. But we know we're alive right now. We know we have a life to live now. Let's fucking live it well. Let's fucking control it for ourselves. And not let assholes take over with their moronic rhetoric. Let's not let them tell us how to live our lives. This life we have for sure. And we stand in solidarity as humans living for humanity. Not for ghosts, not for fucking what ifs and maybes, not for fucking promises that have never fucking been fulfilled as far as I can ever fucking see. We can live this fucking life right fucking now. I want to thank everyone again for coming. I'm sorry I'm a ranting lunatic. The only reason I am is because I'm tired of seeing shit go down that is shitty. I want to see good things happen. There's a lot of hardworking, wonderful people in the world, and a lot of them have been in the past and can't now. We need to support them. We need to prop them up. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the thing now. I'm not really sure how to do it on my phone because I haven't done it in a while. It's up here. Thanks again. Everyone, have a wonderful day.